Very good morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your presence today with us in Berlin. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Warm greetings from Berlin to our online participants from different parts of the world. So my name is Ping Kong. I'm the founder of Heritage and Education GmbH, a non-profit corporation based in Berlin. It is my great pleasure today to be the moderator for today's conference on the future of the World Heritage Convention. First of all, on behalf of the organizers, Institute Heritage Studies and the German Federal Foreign Office, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for your participation, for being with us today. So we are gathering today here to celebrate the 50 years anniversary of the World Heritage Convention. As of today, it has been ratified by 194 state parties. The World Heritage Convention is one of the most successful and also most internationally known conventions of our time. So in order to welcome as many colleagues and friends as possible in this field to join us to celebrate and to share our visions for the future, today's conference is organized in a hybrid format, both in person and online. I think you will recognize it from my greetings. So thanks to our wonderful organization team, we have a truly international representation for today's conference. In total, we have more than 550 online and in-person registrations from over 85 countries. As your moderator today, it is a real pleasure to meet you all visually or in person, to welcome you all from different cultural backgrounds and also from all walks of life to this hybrid conference. First, I would like to give some reminders on technical arrangement to our online participants. After you log in the conference, you will land in the conference foyer. You shall enter into the plenary room where the conference itself takes place. At the same time, you can click the signboard agenda to view today's schedule, and you can click the book to download button for the new publication, 50 Years World Heritage, Shared Responsibility, Conflict and Reconciliation. The book is available as open resource for everyone to download free of charge. However, based on the regulations from Springer on the book distribution, we have only very limited hard copies printed out for targeted groups. For example, people who are related to the book publishing, such as the authors, the reviewers, editors, and also certain representatives of organizations who are going to promote the book. So we are very sorry that we don't have enough hard copies for each of you, but please be reminded you can always download the book free of charge digitally. That's a great thing about open access. So as you might already see, today's program is pretty intense. So first of all, please allow me to walk you through the program, the agenda today together. We will have welcome speeches, a keynote speak, and the first roundtable discussion in the morning until a short break at 1 o'clock. Drinks and some snacks will be provided outside the conference hall where you have the coffees and tea today. And after coming back at 1:30, we will go straight forward to the topic, Without Conflicts and Conflict-Solving Strategies. Following that, we planned a dedicated 30 minutes to bridge the dialogues of our online and in-person participants. We value all your voices and opinions, so please take an active part of it. We will prepare, of course, microphones for our audience sitting in this beautiful Europe Saal. We also have an online coordination team. So please feel free to communicate your questions with our coordination team online through the question and answers function in the toolbar at the bottom of the plenary room. If you want to address your question to a particular speaker, please also indicate that in the question and answers. Our online coordination team will collect and summarize your ideas and questions and bring them to our experts on the podium later. If you have any technical questions or problems, please email Mr. Santon. You will find his contact in the email with the conference link. After the open discussion, we will have the second roundtable discussion on the topic of sharing new visions, followed by question and answer time. The same as before, all the online participants, you're welcome to join us and raise your questions and concerns through this question and answer function in the plenary room. The conference will be concluded by Professor Albert. At the end of the day, we will have a small reception, which will be also organized outside the conference hall, and we have organized a tour. So I have some housekeeping announcement for the guided tour. We will have a guided tour on the World Heritage Site, Museum Island, for those who have registered beforehand. There will be 3 groups organized for this purpose, and the number is written at the back of your badge, name badge. Please check that. Please collect your headset for the guided tour at the reception around 5:15 p.m. The tour guide will meet you at the entrance or the exit of the building where you came in the morning today. Please feel free to approach to our dear volunteers, and they are ready to help you for any questions. So I hope we can make full use of these events to communicate, to exchange ideas, and important to work together for sustainable future of the World Heritage Convention. Without any further delay, I have the honor to introduce our 3 distinguished representatives of the organizations who are the key pillars of this conference today. I shall start with Professor Maria Teresa Albert, Director of Institute Heritage Studies and the co-organizer of the conference. Professor Albert is a former chairholder of the Chair Intercultural Studies and the UNESCO Chair in Heritage Studies at Brandenburg University of Technology, Cottbus and Siftenberg, where she co-initiated and directed the World Heritage Studies Master Program from 1999 to 2016, and founded the PhD program Heritage Studies in 2010. In 2014, she founded the Institute Heritage Studies at the International Academy, Berlin. She developed a new paradigmatic approach to heritage studies and interprets our heritage in the interest of human development. She has successfully implemented many international projects, and today is one of them. I have also the pleasure to introduce Mr. Ralf Beste, the Director General of Culture and Society at the Federal Foreign Office. Mr. Beste is an established journalist, has been working at leading positions at significant magazines and newspapers in Germany, such as the Berliner Zeitung, Der Spiegel. He joined the Federal Foreign Office in 2014 and worked as ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany to the Republic of Austria from 2019 to 2022. At the moment, he is holding the Director General position for Culture and Society Department at the Federal Foreign Office. So I also have a privilege to introduce Mr. Lazare Eloundou Assomo, the Director of UNESCO World Heritage Centre since December 2021. Mr. Eloundou Assomo graduated in architecture and urban planning. He joined UNESCO in 2003 in the African unit of the World Heritage Centre and co-authored the book African World Heritage, a Remarkable Diversity in 2012. Mr. Eloundou Assomo has a long-standing career and profound knowledge in cultural heritage in times of conflict and disasters. He worked in UNESCO offices in Bamako, Mali, and in 2016 was appointed as Deputy Director of the Heritage Division of World Heritage Centre at UNESCO. In 2018, he became Director of Heritage and Emergencies Entity. Mr. Eloundou Assomo is currently in charge of the implementation and day-to-day management of our convention. So let me officially announce the opening of this conference, and I have the pleasure to welcome our first representative, dear Professor Albert. The floor is yours.
Dear Ping Kong, thanks a lot. It was great to have this introduction. Dear Mr. Beste, I only have your name and the Institute for Federal Foreign Office. The rest is not, I have not received any other information except what she told. Dear Mr. Lazare Eloundou Assomo, Director of the World Heritage Centre in Paris, dear colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, dear all, members of the World Heritage community. I cordially welcome you to the final conference of our project, 50 Years World Heritage Convention, Shared Responsibility, Conflict and Reconciliation. A project that pays tribute to UNESCO's most successful convention, the World Heritage Convention, on its 50th anniversary on 16th November this year. World Heritage, ladies and gentlemen, was and is our material heritage and our natural heritage, designated by its outstanding universal value, the so-called OUV. And in this respect, it was already clear in 1972 what World Heritage is or should be. But what does this mean after 50 years of implementation of the Convention? What does outstanding universal value mean in a social, cultural, technical and practical, multidisciplinary and transcultural world? In a world that acts very differently from the world of 1972, when the Convention was adopted. Subsequently, our project was confronted with challenges or questions that did either not exist, existed differently, or have not been asked in the past. It is still unclear how to deal worldwide with the continued European dominance of sites on a global scale. It is also unresolved how people worldwide and across generations can be enabled to protect and use heritage sustainably. A question that is more relevant today than ever before is the content-related political or even social significance attributed to World Heritage. Why should or must World Heritage actually be important to people beyond its OUV and therefore worth to protect it? Heritage, and this is my intention to say, is identity forming. Why do drivers of war destroy the cultural heritage of people they invade, as we see it in the moment? And are those developments considered in the World Heritage Convention? Is this even possible? Heritage is sustainably by itself. Is this dimension sufficiently taken into account in the protection and use of World Heritage in the context of its increasing commodification? And what about the technical, climate, and social changes of the world? Questions about the here and now of the Convention today compared to the here and now of 1972 also concern the changing functions of World Heritage or those of its functional attributions. The World Heritage Convention was inspired by the safeguarding campaign of the Abu Simbel temples and the realization that the heritage of humanity is irreplaceable. In contrast, today, World Heritage is subject to a trend that assigns it an economic function, and World Heritage sites are nominated increasingly in the hope of promoting tourism, for example, as an economic development factor. There is no question that heritage, world heritage, can and should also be economically effective. But we must also clarify whether and how its fundamental purpose will be preserved and continued. Our project 50 Years World Heritage Convention was therefore the project in which we asked questions, as those just raised, sought answers, and also found them. In view of the fact that the world has changed compared to the year when the convention was adopted, we have endeavored to record and analyze some of those developments within 6 thematic areas of conflict, which we worked out in think tanks such as global governance, urban transformation, war and terrorism, climate change, technological change, and commodification. These think tanks were managed by Roland Bernecker and Nicole Franceschini, BTU Cottbus, Matthias Ripp, site manager of Old Town of Regensburg, and Christa Gustafsson, Uppsala University, Friedrich Schipper, the Eurasian Military Academy in Vienna, Claire Cave, University College Dublin, Alexander Siegmund, Heidelberg University of Education, and Thomas Schmidt, Heidelberg University. Dear colleagues, again and explicitly a sincere thank you. It was great. You've done a great job. Based on the think tanks, we sorted and selected the contributions of 4 of our book. And again, thanks to the support of 25 scientists consisting of the board of our Heritage Study Series and external experts from 12 countries, we were able to make the final selection. Many thanks to all of you. You are personally acknowledged in the book. Thank you. But now, the results of these activities carried out in 2021 are now presented in our book with, and this is the most important information, is a book with a contribution of 61 authors from 28 countries. This is my fault. Dear authors, we can be proud not only of this, but also of the fact that we have succeeded in representing the diversity of the world, which is also expressed in and with about world heritage. The heritage of humanity is not only typologically diverse, but it is also national and international, categorial and material, emotional and rational evaluations. I would further like to emphasize that expressing the diversity in a publication was not easy, as you can imagine. We succeeded thanks to Anka Prodan in particular. Who was the manager of the project. I just said that without authors there would be no book. I have to expand on the sentence, without Anka Prodan there wouldn't even have been think tanks. Dear Anka, our very special thanks goes to you. This brings me to the conference itself and to our outlook. In expanding the contents and target groups of the book, we were not only interested in current conflicts and solving strategies, it was also important for us to include the bearers of the demanded responsibility in the implementation of the Convention, precisely the manifold civil society, the generation of young professionals and the groups of experts managing world heritage. All the stakeholders are joining today the round tables. Dear colleagues, thank you all for coming. Before closing, I'd like explicitly thank Birgitta Ringbeck. Dear Birgitta, in the last 20 years, as focal point Germany and member of the World Heritage Committee from 2012 to 2015, you have played a decisive role in the implementation of the World Heritage Convention at national and international level. With your always critical and constructive contributions, your incredible network, and your conviction that World Heritage is a central pillar of multilateral cooperation. We have succeeded in driving it forward in the context of the changing world I have mentioned before, knowing that securing peace in the basis of our common heritage is still one of the biggest challenges in terms of recovery and reconciliation. Therefore, this event, and of course the book, also bears your signature. Thank you. But for this, but also for your magnificent work as head of the World Heritage Coordination Body in the Federal Foreign Office of Germany. Many thanks. Enjoy your coming period. In this spirit, ladies and gentlemen, I wish us all a successful conference, and again, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for being here and for joining. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Albert, for sharing with us the ideas and concept behind this conference. And also thank you for sharing your reflections and presenting us this very important book. I would like to congratulate you and your team and the co-editors for this book. From 61 authors of 28 countries, this book goes beyond the Euroscope of representation. Congratulations again. Next, I have the pleasure to invite Mr. Ralf Beste, Director General of Culture and Society at the Federal Foreign Office, on the stage. We are looking forward to your speech. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Welcome to Germany. Welcome to Berlin. Welcome to the Auswärtiges Amt, and of course to this conference. 2 days ago, I took the train to Cologne, and I visited the cultural heritage site, the cathedral, the Kölner Dom. But I wasn't there only for the cathedral. The Dombaumeister gave me a tour because he wanted to introduce to me another cultural heritage, that is the Dombauhütte, the workshop, the permanent workshop that hosts and brings together and permanently employs carpenters, roofers, stonemasons, very many trades of conservationists who are busy maintaining this edifice. And why I'm telling you this, because my brief visit showed two very important things why we appreciate your work. One is I could see in this workshop how two female glass painting conservation specialists were rehabilitating and restoring window panes from Notre Dame Cathedral that were damaged in the fire. And so all Dombauhütten in Germany work together with their French colleagues in order to help and maintain these beautiful artifacts. And I think that is a showcase how also on a bilateral level, the common work on preservation of cultural heritage makes a difference. And we discussed a lot the Dombauhütte and the secret to success. And I think most important, my takeaway that impressed me most was the way how this Dombauhütte is being financed. Way more than half of the budget is provided for by civil society. It's the Dombauverein that gives like 4.5 or 5 million every year in order to preserve that work. So as Director General for Culture and Society, seeing how society really has a stake in cultural affairs, and also, for that matter, in cultural diplomacy, is really heartwarming, and I wanted to share that with you. It is really deeply ingrained in German society. It's not only that it's good for our image to be among the top 3 when it comes to the sheer number of cultural heritage, but it's really rooted in and supported by German society. So we are really happy to have you here, and I wanted to tell you this in order to show that the buy-in is deeper and stronger than only in the Foreign Office, where we are professionally busy with that. Lamentably, we cannot celebrate the 50 years in the World Heritage Committee, and that is due to circumstances that we deplore deeply. The Russian war of aggression led to the destruction of more than 500 cultural sites by the army of Russia, a country that is currently chairing this. And it's a monstrous breach of civilization. Of course, under these circumstances, we cannot really chair the regular meeting. The destruction of cultural property really, as you said, goes to the identity of a country, which also underlines the importance of our dealings with that, and it's of course also a war crime. This conference is addressing these issues, the question of the significance of World Heritage affairs in the face of growing threats from crises like these in conflict and war. And that's why we as Federal Foreign Office are closely cooperating with the Deutsches Archäologisches Institut, DAI, and our Ministry for Culture to support the cultural heritage sites in Ukraine. And we try to be of service as much as we can, and we also support the essay to put the historic port center of Odessa and to include it in the list of cultural heritages. So, like I try to exemplify with my story of my voyage to Cologne, we are really strongly committed as a Foreign Office to supporting that, and we see that we are being supported by our country and by our society in dealing with that. And with that, I want to thank Mrs. Ringbeck for her work in the Foreign Ministry, and you really did the trick in so many fields, and I think we are all grateful for what you did until late October, a few days ago. And I'm really curious to your contributions. I want to thank you for being here, doing that together with us. And maybe ending on the Cologne note. In Cologne, they say, when construction of the cathedral ends, the world will go down. So we all have an interest in maintaining the Dombauhütte, and the construction of the dome may be permanent. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Beste, to share with us your insights from your very personal stories at Köln, and also your perspective from the Federal Foreign Office. And also, thank you for sharing with us the strengths of civil societies, which will be our first roundtable discussion, visions from the civil society. We hope to have your inputs too. And on behalf of all of us, I would also like to thank you very much, and the Federal Foreign Office, for your great support to this conference. Thank you for sharing with us this beautiful Europe style today. And we have a book from Professor Albert. I would like to present to you as a small token of appreciation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So next, I have the pleasure to welcome Mr. Lazare Eloundou Assomo, Director of World Heritage Centre at UNESCO, for the welcome speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In some places they say program director, in others they say moderator, so you're both. You're doing it so well. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's really a pleasure for me to be here today. Professor Albert, thank you very much for making this happen with everyone. And 50 years of the World Heritage Convention, time of peace, conflict, and war. What else can we say? I think we have to look for the future. Not only 50 years looking back, but why not 50 years looking forward? So let me thank the Federal Foreign Office and the Institute of Heritage Studies of the International Academy of Berlin for the possibility that is given to all of us today to share a few thoughts in relation to this theme. Yeah. I am privileged to do today, since a few months, to succeed this wonderful woman, Dr. Rössler. And I'm saying that I'm privileged because, you know, this mandate that we have on World Heritage at UNESCO, it's so unique within the United Nations system. And we always say to build the defenses of peace in the minds of women and men through education, science, and culture in all its forms. And to infuse the humanist values of respect, dignity, and I use your word, Professor Albert, identity. And this is not only to infuse identity, but also to infuse solidarity into people's consciences. And UNESCO has been doing these things for more than 70 years and has had this very important moment in the history of developing essential standard-setting instrument to support and involve all the countries of the world in this fundamental issue. And the World Heritage Convention is definitely, now I can say it, I'm the director of the World Heritage Centre, is the best known. And you will agree with me. So, in turn, is therefore also one that bears the greatest responsibility for promoting international cooperation, bringing people and resources together, and safeguarding, you know, the outstanding cultural and natural heritage as the heritage of humanity across the borders. And you started by saying that everything started the beginning with the Aswan, the Egypt, and Aswan is a dam history and everything. So let me not say again, you know, what we are today. We all know. We know the statistics. So I think in this room, no need to call again on the statistic. You said it already right from the beginning. So this is done. 194 state parties, 1,154 World Heritage sites, but located in 167 state parties. So not all the countries have World Heritage sites. But this is already something important because on 16 November, this convention is going to turn 50 years. I don't know if there are some people who are born on 16 November, but I'm sure there will be a number of champagnes on that date. But this is just to say that, you know, we have dedicated this anniversary to an interdisciplinary reflection, like I was saying, on the future of World Heritage. And the theme of this year is World Heritage as a source of resilience, humanity, and innovation. So all what you've said, you, Professor, and of course you, Mr. Ralf, fits into this reflection, definitely. And when you start going into the details, then you will agree that there are certain things that this reflection needs to tackle. Of course, heritage and conservation in times of war definitely becomes something very important, but not only that, but also climate change. Very important. And sustainable tourism, which is also a very important issue, and balanced representation of inscribed sites, today 50 years after. So, these topics might seem familiar to all of us, and this new publication that we're having here has a strong focus on most of this subject. So we have to acknowledge that today. And it has it, but it also reveals a number of things that many challenges still remain. And I think, how many authors? 61 authors in 28 countries that are telling everyone that there has been successes, there has been many, many successes, but there are still a lot of challenges. And that tells us that we still have to continue working together. And nevertheless, and in spite of all odds, I still believe, and we still believe, that's what we hear, that the convention has stood the test of time and remains relevant and true to the intention of its founders. And more than ever, there is a need to continue protecting the world's cultural and natural heritage, not only for our time, but also for future generations and for the times to come. And yesterday, there was a conference in UNESCO for the 30th anniversary of the UNESCO chairs. And Professor Achille Mbembe, whom some of you know very well, was the key lecturer. And he reminded us yesterday, and I still have it, that we all have a responsibility to take care of this planet. And through World Heritage, I think we can still continue to do something to protect people's identity in times of war, to protect people's identity in the face of climate disruptions and climate change. So as we can see from the conference program and the impressive related publications that we have here, this is a source of inspiration. This publication is a source of inspiration I quickly went through for researchers, heritage practitioners, civil societies, the World Heritage Centre, my colleagues, the advisory bodies. I see Joking is here with us, all the civil societies. Joe, you will agree with me that it will help us continue to discuss the important questions of theory, practices around World Heritage in the different subjects that we have. Heritage as identity, I have to come back to it, Professor Albert, but also the very important issue we will see later, I think the keynote of Birgitta, is important on the concepts of responsibility, the concepts of reconciliation, the concept of sustainability, and the concept of education. Very important. And I think because we are going to look at all this subject, maybe we'll find new solutions to probably contributing to resolving conflict, avoiding destruction of cultural heritage in times of conflict. And my friend, Professor Peter Stone, will probably also say a couple of few things about it. Both this conference and the fact that we are celebrating 50 years of World Heritage Convention choose, of course, conflict and heritage destruction at their focus. Yes, conflict and armed conflict in particular is one of the main threats to heritage, as it's often specifically targeted because of what it represents. And I have witnessed it personally myself when I arrived in Timbuktu, few months after the city was liberated, where the great Imam, when he saw the mission coming to Timbuktu, he came to me and he said, "You are bringing us again life. Without our mausoleums, without our manuscripts, it's like we were losing our two lungs. So we were not living anymore." So I think this is something we need to remember. And the UNESCO actions, of course, has contributed not only to alert the international community and everyone that today, more than before, we need to take all needed actions to protect the heritage of humanity. Otherwise, it's our own humanity that we destroy. And it's our whole future that we are destroying. When these sites are targeted, they are targeted because they are symbols of cultural identity, that they have deep historic roots. And it's precisely because heritage has this unique dimension, which is intangible sometimes, that is given this protective status under international law. And while the defense of this heritage and all that it represents concerns all of us, our role at UNESCO, the role of the World Heritage Centre, the role of the advisory bodies, and the roles of all the countries, and including the civil societies, is of course to spearhead international efforts so that this is given more visibility, more attraction. And this is what we can see today with what is happening in Ukraine. And my purpose is not to speak about Ukraine. You spoke already about it. But I think today, this morning, we have accepted 212 sites and monuments, including religious buildings, museums, and others that have been destroyed. And we will continue to do so. But the question here is not to look at only Ukraine, is to say what is happening in Ukraine has started happening in many places and will probably continue happening if we don't do anything. Someone was saying our planet is burning and we are looking somewhere else. Our heritage of the humanity is being destroyed and we cannot continue looking somewhere else. We have to take actions, we have to join hands to make it things together. So again, let me thank the organizers of this conference, all of you, for providing the possibility to many of us to continue discussing this topic concerning the past, the present, and the future of World Heritage. So thank you again, and congratulations to all the authors and editors of this 50 years World Heritage Convention publication, because it's definitely with so many inspiring articles inside. So to finish, we will continue to advocate for the firm conviction that culture and heritage play a fundamental role in the construction of peaceful and democratic societies. And I wanted to end with it because that's exactly what represents the symbol of the action that our dear friend Birgitta Rinberg has done for all the time she has been leading this work on World Heritage. And I think today we are probably missing a professional who was responsible for World Heritage. But like we said, thank God, we are keeping a friend. We are keeping a big sister. Thank you, Birgitta. And I'm very proud and happy to be here today because I didn't want to miss this moment together with Mechthild. Thank you.